Hi, this is Z, and I'm back again with another video. In this video, I wanted to talk about how I saw a video on TikTok and someone was asking AI, did the so-called African Americans destiny swap with the Native Americans, or did the Native Americans destiny swap with the so-called African Americans? Now, people that believe that their ancestors came from Africa, this may not really resonate with you. This is more so, and I'm using the term African American so that people know who I'm talking about. Those of you who know us as African Americans today. But really what they were asking is if the indigenous Americans or the American Indian, which would be the people that are now called African American today, were they destiny swapped by the Native Americans? And the answer kind of was more of a identity swap rather than a destiny swap. And here's why. And I'm not sure if people really understood, because at the time when I watched the video, it was only a few comments, and I'm not really sure if people are really understanding that Native American, first of all, Native means that you were not originally there. It does not mean the same as indigenous. And people can look up what Native means. But I know from when I was growing up in school, I was taught that Native Americans came from Siberia. They've since changed it, just like they've since changed and made us the title African American, because we were not called African Americans. And so a lot of people have forgotten, or they're just not aware of things changing over time, what's being taught in school being changed over time. So people tend to go with what they hear in school nowadays, or what they're hearing on TV and social media nowadays, rather than you don't even have to dig that far back, to be honest, to see that African American is a recent term. And so I explain all of that to say is what people really are asking in that video. What someone really wanted to know was if the Native Americans destiny swapped with the American Indian, so-called African American, because those of you who have done your genealogy, not DNA test, but your genealogy, or you have family members that remember, because it's not that far back that people use the term American Indian. It's not that far back. So those of you who understand that things get rewritten over time, and the rewriting of things, changing things over time, is because of destiny swapping. Now, I'm going to say that with the Native Americans, that's more of an identity swap, not a destiny swap, because the purpose of a destiny swap is to step into a destiny that is greater than yours. So I believe that the Native Americans are in the same boat as us. I think a lot of stuff was switched around, a lot of information to confuse people. And that's why people are still confused, because you have a lot of people that don't want to know the truth. You have a lot of people that are lazy to find out the truth. And then you have people that are just comfortable, they're just comfortable where they're at. They feel like knowing the truth is going to stir up a lot of trouble. And it needs to stir up trouble. But with the reason why I say that the Native Americans were destiny swapped with also was because they are in a lot of them are in a worse situation than African Americans. Not a lot, majority, if not all of them, are in a worse situation. So they couldn't have swapped destinies with us. So what happened was that was more of an identity swap. They are from Asia. A lot of them are from Asia, and I know they don't really like to admit to it, but the reason why they're not going to step into their destiny is because a lot of them choose to remain asleep. They don't want to hear the truth, and that's the same thing with so-called African Americans. The reason why we're waiting, number one, we're waiting on someone to come in and save us. We're brainwashed into thinking someone is going to come in and save us, or that white people are just going to choose to do the right thing. And the reason why they're not going to choose to do the right thing is because they've destiny swapped with a lot of people. A lot of the elite people have destiny swapped with a lot of other people. And they still do it today. It is a thing that is going on, very active today, but because we're so asleep, we don't notice what is happening. We don't realize it. All we know is that something is not adding up. Well, some of us, the story of us coming from Africa as slaves is not adding up. That's the only thing most of us know. If we even acknowledge that, because a lot of us don't. We're so tied to Roots, the movie, and all that other stuff. We're tied to that story so deeply without even really investigating. I'll go back. I got way off. But the reason why Native Americans only identity swap was them coming over from Asia. They took on the names of American Indian tribes, but they don't have our destiny. Because remember, if you're destiny swapping with someone, you're going for a destiny that is greater, not settling for less. What will be the point of that? So we have to dig and see who destiny swapped with us. Now, a lot of people they're not going to realize they were destiny swapped with, because they're holding on to the slave narrative. They're holding on to old narratives, and they have not dug to find the truth. So you think that your destiny in the past was of a slave, and now you think, oh, we're in a better position now. They've brainwashed you to think that what you have now is greater than what you had in the past, when it's actually the opposite. What you had in the past was greater than what you have today, because you were destiny swapped with. So all the elites, all the royal families, all of that money and prosperity and abundance was yours. The earth, a lot of these old buildings on the earth, old structures, was yours, was that of people of color. And I'm not going to just limit it to so-called Black people in America. It was the world, because there was a time, and I'm not trying to be racist, but there was a time where white people were not at the level they were today. There was a time where they were the slave. They were the people that didn't have much and were not very knowledgeable. If just do your history. It's not a race thing. I have white in my family. It's not a racial thing. It's not, I'm not, trying to be racist or anything like that. If you just dig back further and you read older books, or just look for some of that information, even just do your family and your lineage justice by going to look and see what your genealogy is. Spend a few dollars and find out your genealogy. You will see that we were in a different position. Nowhere on my family genealogy, and I'm talking about the Black people, nowhere in my genealogy was there a slave. We own land. A lot of my family were here. A lot of my family, even the Black people, came from Europe. They were of a royal bloodline. This is the case for many so-called African Americans. If they just would set aside their pride and go do some research and see what their genealogy is, you cannot step into your destiny. We cannot, as a whole, as a collective, we cannot stand in our destiny because we do not want to know, excuse me, we do not want to know the truth. We're stuck. We're glued to that slave narrative. And you cannot step back into your rightful destiny as an individual and as a collective if you don't know your truth, your personal truth, or the truth of your people. You cannot step into it. So this is why they keep telling you God is going to come back. God is returning. God is going to save you. No, you need to save yourself. We need to save ourselves by remembering who we are. So those of you who understand Destiny Swap on an individual level, you know you had to wake up. You had to realize what was going on. The same thing has to happen on a collective level. We have to realize who Destiny swapped with us. I mean, I know, but that's our job. We need to find out who Destiny swapped with. We need to find out our true history. It's important that people go back and look and find out their genealogy. You cannot get your rightful place in the world. You cannot reclaim your destiny as a collective. We cannot do it if we don't know who we are. So this is why you have so many African Americans struggling with poverty, because we've been forced to do it more so on an individual level and never as a collective. So that's why we're always looked down on as a collective. We're always looked at as lazy, thieves, shooting and killing each other, all of this stuff, even though there are a lot worse groups of people on the earth that are terrorizing the earth. Those are the people that's convincing the world that so-called African American people and other indigenous people in the world are the scum of the earth, when really someone has destiny swapped. And most people do not know. They cannot see that because that is more of on an energetic level. And because so much of our history has been tampered with in their history, they've put themselves in our place. I've talked about this before. Those old paintings they covered over. Even if you find somebody like Abraham Lincoln, if you go read an old book about Abraham Lincoln, you'll see that Abraham Lincoln was not a white man. So everything has been switched out. The true history has been switched out, and imposters have been placed in their place because it was a destiny swap. It wasn't just an identity swap. It's a destiny swap. Most so-called African people individually are not in their destinies, and Black people or so-called African American people as a collective, we're not in our destiny. And people are afraid of us finding out the truth. This is why we get attacked so much by so many different, even now you're seeing African and African American, so-called African American people fighting. They're angry because a lot of so-called African American people are like, we're not African. They're actually angry when we say that, even though they don't like it. A lot of them don't even like us. They're not all like that, but a lot of them don't like us. Now you have to wonder, why would you want us to say that we're a part of you, but at the same time you don't even like us? Because it's a program. It's a program put into place to cause arguing, fighting, confusion, and then you stop thinking about the fact that somebody destiny swapped with you. Now you become focused on the other people of color, and you are fighting amongst yourselves, which people need to stop. African people are probably have been destiny swapped with too, as well as Native Americans. Native Americans and so-called African American people are fighting. Why do people think they keep pushing this stuff out there for people to fight, people of color to fight with each other? Because it takes the attention off of who truly destiny swapped. But the more and more people who realize that is a program, that is something that's put out there purposely to disrupt people and to get people off of what they're supposed to be doing, the more people that realize that, they'll start to wake up and say, you know what is my true identity? What is my true heritage? What is my true bloodline? Because it's really about your bloodlines more so than your race. But the bloodlines, the true royal bloodlines are of people of color. So we really need to dig. We need to go back and find out who we are. Stop with this DNA nonsense, because it's going to point every person of color to Africa, and that is not how it truly is. When you keep pointing back to Africa, you're going to miss out on your true heritage. You're going to miss out on America being your true homeland, and or Europe and other places being your true homeland. If Africa is your heritage, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of us are not from, our ancestors are not from Africa. They are not from Africa. And the reason why they keep throwing that narrative out there over and over again, every so many years, here come the slave movies and all of that nonsense, is because they don't want you to reclaim your land. They don't want you to reclaim what is yours. They don't want you to reclaim your destiny, because all of that wealth, power, and status goes back to the original people. So I just want to make that quick message, and I'll be back again with another video soon. Bye.